Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Everyday Excellence. I'm your host, Todd Baldwin, and today we have Anthony Hamilton, a owner of the Water Heater Company. How are you doing, Anthony?
I'm doing great, Todd. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you bet. I was excited to have you on. I hope you had a good weekend. Like I just said, I was out yesterday, so today is my Monday, even though it is a Tuesday. So, Anthony, for people hearing about the Water Heater Company for the first time, give us a quick overview of what you do and who you serve.
We are a residential home service company. We're licensed plumbers in Southern California. My partner Gonzo and I started the company in January 2019. So we do all things water heaters, anything from a repair, maintenance, all the way through installation, upgrades to tankless water heaters, heat pump water heaters. We pretty much can do anything related to hot water in your home.
Okay, great. And so you said Southern California. Where exactly? What is your territory there?
Our office is located in Camarillo, California. It's in Ventura County between Malibu and Santa Barbara. But we actually serve Santa Barbara, Ventura County, Los Angeles County, and Orange County. So we have about 12 million people in our service area.
Okay, okay. I've got a really good friend lives in Ventura. So he is
Cool.
in your service area.
That's awesome.
So let's so Anthony, let's kind of start at the beginning. I'd love just to hear your story of how the water heater company came to life.
Well, I'll go back to 2010. I was in college. I was going into my senior year of college. I met the owners of a plumbing company at a football game. And the short version is that I ended up quitting school to go work for a plumbing company. Thought it was a little bit risky, but I had a lot of friends that were graduating that couldn't get jobs because of the financial status of the country, and thought plumbing could be a really great option that was safe. So I got in there and I learned the trade and promoted into a sales role, promoted into a management role, and I worked from that for that company. I started in 2010. That's actually where I met my partner Gonzo. He was the general manager for that company, and we became very close. And at a certain point, we actually were living together. I was renting a room out of his place, and every day after work, we would just talk about the problems that we were seeing. And we were kind of restricted on being able to make certain changes because it wasn't our company. And so one day we decided to start our own company. We had this idea for the water heater company, and what better name than the water heater company for a company that does water heaters, right? So we worked on our ideas. We ended up quitting our jobs in 2018. In 2019, we launched the water heater company.
What was that like when you guys officially took the jump, what I call the jump off the cliff, the entrepreneurial jump? Um, were there any second thoughts or like, oh my gosh, what have we done here?
You know, it, there definitely were second thoughts, but we both seemed to be fairly risk tolerant. We were both single guys. We were living together, so the ability to like split expenses and stuff was really helpful. But there's always that risk. The great thing about the trades is that there's very little capital that's needed to get started. I mean, as long as you can finance a vehicle, get an account with a supplier or a vendor, you can purchase product on a net 30, and hopefully get a few jobs done to pay for those bills before the bill comes due.
Yeah, no, I like that because there's I think we talked a little bit earlier. When I know we talked last week, but I'd mentioned to me everybody wants to be an entrepreneur until it's time to jump off the cliff and go for it. So congrats. I find a lot of times it's people in your type of situation, young, no family yet, single. Hey, let's go for it, right? What better time? Because I think a lot of times entrepreneurs they may wait, they just wait too long, and they get the lifestyle to where it's in their mind it's too hard to leave all that, risk everything to try to start their own business. So, congrats for taking that big leap of faith. Um,
You
what
know,
because
it's
what I find
funny.
there, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say it's funny that you say that because um, in 2018 I was 29 years old. At the end of the year in December, I was turning 30. And I knew that this was coming, and I had made a decision to evaluate my life and the people that were in it and find out what was serving my future goals. And I found that I needed to cut out certain people and certain activities and lifestyle choices. And so on my 30th birthday, that was kind of like a cutoff time. And literally 1 month later, we started our company. 2 weeks after starting our company, I met my now wife, ironically. So, yeah, it was an interesting transition.
That's a great story. You did tell me that little tidbit earlier, but that I like that. So you met your wife 2 weeks later, and so she's been on this journey with you the whole time.
Yeah, I remember actually, bailing on Gonzo on, one of our first water heater installs. I took an Uber home because I didn't wanna be late for my first date with her.
Well, that's a great story. So that's, I appreciate you sharing that. I'm curious what's, I find interesting about your business. You guys are licensed plumbers. Um, and but you've only decided to focus on a small little niche area, right? The water heater sector of plumbing. So what like what did y'all figure out that you could solve better than the competitions in this space?
Well, we found that, at least in our market, hot water is a very hot commodity. Um, Most folks don't wanna go more than a day without hot water. You know, they wake up in the morning, they're trying to get ready for their day, and the shower doesn't get hot, and so, a lot of people immediately go into panic mode. "What am I gonna do? I can't take showers. The kids need to shower before school or after school or before or after practice." And so, by niching down into just water heaters, we're able to provide same-day service in most cases. We're able to not only repair water heaters during that first visit, but also do a full replacement. So the turnaround time, the speed of delivery was the biggest thing starting out. We've also found that in going to, I think we just hit 31,000 jobs that we've ran in 7 years of business. Um, Probably 7 or 8 out of 10 water heaters we go to were not installed correctly. So there's definitely a gap there where people are getting the work done, but it's not being done right or not done well. So doing things the right way, using quality materials so that things last longer has also been a big benefit to us.
Sure. I mean, you said 12 million people roughly that you guys service, right? Or that's in your service area. So that's a lot of people, a lot of homes. How many of those homes do you think are going to have a water heater issue every year?
Oh man, if only I knew that number. I can tell you that we run about 500 to 600 jobs a month right now, and we probably have a very small fraction of the total market in this area. There's such a demand, you know, water heaters. It's something that often goes uh, unthought of because it just works and most people don't have a problem for years on end. But the average life of a water heater is 8 to 12 years. So, you know, your tank is going to leak, it's going to need to be replaced. And then within that 8 to 12 years, we see that most water heaters end up with at least one repair, whether that's, you know, a pilot going out or something like that. And then nobody maintenances their water heater either because it's just one of those things that it's tucked away in a garage or in a closet and nobody does anything about it. You included?
Yeah, yeah, that's me. I did have a pilot issue recently, but I haven't drained it in maybe once since I put this newer unit in, but it's probably, I don't know, 10 years old now. So I'm like at that point, like, when am I going to start having a leak or issues? So, but you're right. Nobody does maintenance and everybody knows you should, right? But we don't. So I'm in Texas, so a little bit different. I think y'all got some different regulations and stuff in California. Um, if you look back, you guys have been in business 7 years. Y'all got a great growth trajectory. Um, what is it that's really turned your company around?
You know, we had steady growth year over year. I think the first 5 years we averaged a 57% year over year growth. This
That's
year,
awesome.
yeah, it's been really great, but we were having a hard time, you know, growth. There's different types of growth, and we had kind of a slow and steady growth. But in the summer of what year is it right now? 26. So summer of 2024, Gonzo and I decided to do we called it a brand refresh. We worked with a company called Brand Story Experts, headed off by Keenan. He was great, and his whole thing is like, yeah, we'll refresh your logo and update it and all that. But the biggest reason why we chose to work with him is because he interviewed us, he interviewed our some of our employees, and he interviewed our clients. And he actually got to like the root of who we were and why we did what we do. And he helped us put our brand story together, and we created core values through that process. And we realized that we had a lot of people on our team that were not in alignment with our core values. We were kind of hiring to hire, we 1 year into business, COVID happened. And so it's kind of weird times. So when we figured this out, we decided to cut out some of the bad characters in our team and rebuild our team. And so we went from 13 technicians down to 8. It was a huge hit, both operationally and from a revenue standpoint and a profit standpoint, but it felt like a necessary move. And after doing that and slowly rebuilding our team, we're now up to 16 technicians again. We have an amazing culture. Everyone is kind of moving in the same direction. We've gotten the right people on the bus, the wrong people off the bus. We've moved people around into the right seats on the bus. And that's just been the biggest thing for sure. And so this year, we're projected not 57% growth, but nearly 200% growth this year.
Wow, that would be incredible, especially for a 7-year-old company to still be having that, size of growth. But you also mentioned you feel like you've got just still a tiny, percentage of the market, even though you said 500 to 600 jobs a month. Did I hear that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a lot of jobs. You guys are busy. You guys are you guys are cranking. How many jobs per day is that usually, roughly?
I think it comes out to be somewhere between 20 to 30. It depends because we're 7 days a week. Weekends are a little bit quieter than the weekdays.
You guys run on the weekends too?
We do. Yeah, we have a limited crew and we only run, more emergency basis, or emergency type calls. So leaking water heater, no hot water, but we don't do maintenance or, general service calls.
It's interesting because a lot of businesses, service businesses they'll they're typically shut down on the weekends, right? They're not, especially like a Sunday, but they just maybe want to give the team a rest or so forth. But you guys are still willing to go out and see your clients, so that's got to be a big win. Or is it different in your industry? Do you have a lot of competitors running on the weekends too?
Um, we do. I mean, it seems to be the bigger the company, the more days per week they will work because they have the infrastructure to do it. When we first started, we were 6 days a week. We would close on Sundays to kind of reset as a team just because there weren't very many of us. And, working 7 days a week. Well, it's one thing for Gonzo and I to work 7 days a week, which we did for many, many years. But to work your team 7 days a week would be too much. So we reset on Sundays. Him and I would cover the Saturdays, um, and then we'd have our team working during the week. And we've basically split shifts, so we have like a Sunday through Thursday team, a Monday through Friday team, and a Tuesday through Saturday team, and it works.
Yeah, well, you mentioned culture, so everybody must be is obviously buying in, right? And I'm just curious because that's you did the brand refresh, which really started to impact the business, the culture. So you've gotten through that the other side. So what does your team culture look like now day to day?
Everyone has a great attitude. Everyone supports each other. Um, it's kind of cliche. A lot of companies talk about being a family. We talk a lot about being a team because you don't get to choose your family, but you do get to choose the teams that you play for. And so we're all here by choice. We all want to be here. We talk about our core values a lot, and our core values are. I always try to teach that our core values are our moral compass in business. So as a business, our goal is to make money, to make money in exchange for a service. But you can do that the wrong way and the right way. And so we use our core values as our guiding compass on whether we are making money in a way that is in alignment with our values.
Sure. No, I like that. I like that a lot. So when you're hiring people, what qualities matter most to you?
Uh, Flexibility is a big one. Being, understanding if there's one thing that I've learned in business, it's that nothing stays the same for long. As you're growing, you have to adapt and change to the environment that you're in. And the bigger a company gets, the more clients you're serving, the more systems and processes you need in place to be able to manage all of it and provide a consistent, reliable service. So I'm always looking for people who are flexible, that have kind of a can do attitude, that want to be part of something um, bigger than themselves.
Excuse me. Yep.
Bless so looking for people who want to be a part of something that's bigger than themselves. We're trying to build something special. I don't want to take credit for this, but I heard it somewhere else, and it really struck a chord for me. But I heard that as the owner of a company, your dreams need to be big enough for everyone who works inside your company's dreams to come true. So I really take that to heart, and the way I think about it is if my employees hit a ceiling because we're not growing the company, then they have to look somewhere else to be able to achieve their dreams. So Gonzo and I have kind of made it our mission to continue to grow. We want to become a household name, and we want to do that so we can serve more people, and so we can provide an environment, a workplace environment for our team where they can continue to grow and reach their goals.
Yeah, you mentioned that you were hiring, doing a lot of hiring or promoting within now, right? Within the since you got the culture fixed, you got the right people on the bus. So what else? Because you said that that was really this whole refresh, this whole culture refresh was a big part of what you think this new growth that you guys are going through. Because you're going on year 8, you're expecting 100 200% growth this year. So other than the culture rebrand, what else have you guys done that you feel like's really helped this growth in today's, going into 2026?
We well, having the right people, I think, is the foundation within your company, and then also partnering with the right people outside of your company. So the vendors that we've chosen to work with, we have great relationships with them where they're basically on our team, and they're working with us to try to source the best products, work with us on getting the best prices available so that way we can not price ourselves out of the market and still provide amazing service to our clients, but at an affordable rate. So we believe in the best service at the best value. So the right vendors, the right partners with regard to marketing, or technology has been a really big one. We've been with Service Titan since day one. We launched the company on the Service Titan platform, so that's been tremendous in being able to have that technology available to us to improve our service for our clients, be able to get in touch with them after we've provided service to follow up with them, and um, I don't want to say retarget, but in a way, retarget them to see if there's any needs that we can help them with. Because water heaters is our main thing, but there's a few auxiliary services that we offer. We do water filtration and recirculation pumps and maintenance on water heaters. So there's definitely follow up and services that we can provide. So people, vendors, and partners, just having all the right people, vendors, and partners has been critical for us.
You mentioned in that I like that because you are giving some credit to the to your vendors and people you're working with. Let's talk a little bit about marketing. As I told you, I'm a digital marketer myself. Been doing marketing for 20 plus years. So I love to hear about what's working, what's not, and so forth. So let's dive into what you're currently doing when it comes to digital marketing. What's working for you right now, Anthony?
It's gonna be a little unconventional because I know most contractors are going to hate that I'm gonna say this, but, Yelp is actually our greatest producer of leads. We have a tremendous volume of work that comes from Yelp, and we have a really good relationship with the clients on there. And I know that can be hard for some because, uh, Yelpers, for lack of a better term, they're evaluating service. It's that most of us think about Yelp and they think of restaurants, but I think home services is actually the largest, if not the second largest sector on Yelp. And the reality is those people that go to Yelp that are looking for a service provider are looking at reviews, and if they call you out and you don't do a great job, they're going to give you a bad review. And if they call you out and you do a great job, they're going to give you a great review. And we have, I think we have around 1,300 total 5-star reviews across Yelp, Yelp alone. And so that's been a huge contributor to our success is our partnership with Yelp and Yelpers in general, providing great service to them. Um, we have not ran Google PPC ads in essentially 4 years. We had 2 small spurts for, like, 3 or 4 months where we tried it, during, like, slow season, um, but it's just never been a great producer for us. Our market is extremely competitive. There's a lot of private equity, so they really can run the costs up. So we focused on Yelp because we have such a great rapport on there. We focused a lot on SEO and organic search and Google Business Profile optimization and just making sure that, people can find us in those other more organic ways. And right now we're making a huge push to be prepared for the AI boom and making sure that we're going to be seen and shown in AI search.
Yeah, the AI search is a big one. Obviously, it's here. It's not coming. It's already here. But circling back around to Yelp, when we visited earlier, I told you it's something we don't typically hear a lot. Usually, I hear people complaining about Yelp. So, kudos to you for finding how to make it work for you. And you said over 1,300 5-star reviews, which is huge because the Yelpers they will praise you or they will, I was gonna say bury you, but that may be a little strong, but they're passionate about the reviews. So I think you found something there that a lot of service companies probably haven't given a full attention to, or maybe got upset. I would just hear people typically I'd hear about Yelp, like, "Hey, can you help me with Yelp because I was a paying customer and I had a lot of good reviews, and when I stopped paying them, my all my good reviews kind of got buried." And now they just show, I'd have 20 good reviews, I might have 2 bad reviews, but now my bad reviews are at the top and my good reviews have kind of disappeared. And when I researched that, I'd have to like drill down several clicks and I would find their good reviews, but they were almost kind of buried. So I heard that a lot, but you totally use it to your advantage. It sounds like, and now that's your highest lead flow. So we worked with a lot of home service businesses. And like I told you when you first told me that, I think that's really cool. It's working for you because I just don't hear that. So you got it working, people are thinking, "Hey, I don't wanna mess with Yelp," but here you are like, "No, I love Yelp," and it's like driving in a lot of leads for us. And I'm assuming those are typically good leads when you get them from
Yeah,
Yelp?
they're great leads. Truthfully, Yelp is gonna distribute the lead out to multiple contractors in most cases, so there's definitely a little bit of a battle. If there's 2 to 3 other contractors that are in competition for that same lead, you have to be on point, you have to answer the phone when the phone rings, you have to bring value over the phone. A lot of contractors just wanna take down information and schedule a call, but, when folks are going online and they're being connected to multiple contractors, you have to bring value. So we have really great people that are on our phones that truly care. We answer questions over the phone. We try to bring as much value as we can to earn their business. On the review topic, I've heard that a lot. That people say that when they pay, they get more reviews, and when they don't pay, the reviews go away. And there's a lot of we'll call them conspiracies around that, but the reality is Yelp has an algorithm, and they are by far the most strict when it comes to reviews of any platform across. Um, they they do not allow you to get reviews taken down. Believe me, I've tried, and it doesn't work. The number one contributing factor to a Yelp review sticking is whether they are an active Yelper. So if you ask someone that found you on Google to leave you a Yelp review and they do, and they have one Yelp review and no profile picture or any of that, Yelp's going to look at that and go, not likely a legitimate review. And they're going to filter that to the not recommended section. But if they're an active Yelper, meaning that they use the platform, they use the app, they're signed in, that's really going to help those reviews stick. If they have a profile picture on their account, that's gonna help the review stick as well. So really, you just have to learn how the algorithm actually works, and they're fairly willing, the representatives don't know all the ins and outs of it, but it's actually the one platform that none of the review generation, companies work with because Yelp doesn't let you ask for a review. They want it to be organic, and so, uh, it's funny that Yelp has probably the worst, um people think the worst things about Yelp and their reviews, and they're actually probably the most genuine and realistic reviews that are on the internet. So,
But that's how they built their whole platform was reviews, so they stayed true to that. So
yeah,
well, I
absolutely.
like that. I like that. I'm on Yelp every once in a while. I'm just kind of neutral with it. I don't, we're not the business police, and um, but it's like I said, it's working for you, and that's great. I'm a big believer in marketing. Like if channels are working, keep that channel going, and don't put all your eggs in one basket. Diversify, which it sounds like you have. It's very curious. You're also one of the few service companies that I've talked to, home service that in that realm that doesn't do any Google paid. So no Google ads. No. Did y'all ever do any local service ads? The Google guarantee they brought on
Yeah.
6 years ago. It's just
Yeah,
never worked for you, or cost per lead's too high, or
we run LSA ads. We run those 7 days a week.
so you're on LSA. Okay.
Yeah, those work well. The volume just isn't there for us. So, excuse me. The LSA ads are actually really good. You have to there's a game to that too, and it's kind of like every platform that you get leads from. There's a little bit of a game, and when you learn how to play the game the right way, then the platform works for you better. So we figured out Yelp. With LSAs, you want that phone to ring directly to you. You don't want to have an IVR menu. Press one for this or two for that. You want to get it straight to a person because the faster you answer that call, the better Google looks at it. And the other thing about LSAs is once you get the lead, Google doesn't know what happened. So you have to go back into the platform and tell it what happened and add the information back in and give Google the feedback on that lead because the more feedback you give it, the more it can help find the right leads for you. And so I would just encourage people in general to with whatever platform they're wanting to do marketing on to try to really do a deep dive and better understand the ins and outs of it because these platforms are trying to produce leads, and if you're not giving feedback and telling it how it's doing, then how is it ever supposed to get better for you?
Well, true. And an LSA, Google will credit you for bad leads.
That too.
When it first started, you actually got to dictate if it was a bad lead or not. Google took that away, so now they're dictating that, but you do have to feed that information back into it. Do you guys run LSA yourself in house, or does an agency run it for you? Or
We run that in-house. We run our Yelp ads in-house as well as LSA. Being that I did go to school for business and took some marketing classes. I didn't graduate, like I said earlier, but I was interested in that world. So when we started the company, that was something that I kind of gravitated toward. And so since I've been doing it since the beginning, and have just kind of held on to that, but never really got into SEO and PPC and some of the other stuff.
yeah, the PPC world. So you mentioned you guys haven't done it. I mean, you've done it, but you're not doing anything right now. And so when you ran it, was it just the cost got too high because you got a lot of PE? People can actually, it's a real bidding market, so people can bid, can go up. Well, Google's always raising the price anyway, and then you got really strong people in their bidding with big budgets, and yeah, that cost can skyrocket. But what I'm just curious, real quick, what was the driving force behind that to not to for you to feel like, hey, this channel's not worth continuing?
We just found as a small business that the cost per lead or the ROAS really, the return on ad spend was not good enough for us to keep investing that amount of money when we had other lead sources that had a better ROAS. And so we just made a decision that anything that was like Yelp is kind of like the lowest ROAS that we're willing to take, and it's due to the volume. So we get about a 3 to 1 on Yelp. So for every dollar we put in, we get $3 back. It's not fantastic, but it produces a lot of volume, and that volume allows us to grow and create a larger presence in the market. And then we use all the other marketing platforms that have a greater ROAS or a lower cost to kind of fill the gap and lower our overall marketing costs. With PPC ads, the cost was too high. And so what we did is we said Yelp is the threshold. So if it does worse than Yelp, then we're going to shut it off and we're going to put that money in Yelp or something else better. And so we once we kind of max out the lower cost marketing channels, we max out the lower cost marketing channels, and then anything excess will go into Yelp. And so we actually spend a fairly significant amount of money on Yelp every month.
No, I get you. You've got a formula that's working for you. So kudos to you guys for knowing your numbers and the marketing game. Because so many business owners we found they just they know they're spending dollars, but they're not tracking the lead all the way through the channel, right? And so they're not sure where the lead came from. Even though when we do our stats calls, we'll review all that information. We use CallRail, a third party tool to track all of our leads. So it'll tell us if it came from organic, chat GPT, paid ads, Facebook. They have access to it, but the point of my got a little long-winded here, but business owners, a lot of them don't log in. They don't look at their lead flow, so they have really no idea what channel's converting or not converting, right? And so you guys have obviously it's probably one of the reasons why you're growing, successful, because you're really looking at that. A lot of business, they don't even know what ROAS is, right? Return on ad spend. That would be like a foreign language to them. So
Yeah.
that tells me right there that you're very in tune with the marketing, and it's got to be one of the big reasons why you're growing. So that is really cool. You mentioned AI. So I want to hear briefly what you guys are doing because we have found our clients are getting leads from AI. Our own brand gets leads from AI. But what are you guys doing to make sure you have an opportunity to show up in these searches on Perplexity or ChatGPT and so forth?
Well, the first thing is we're trying to write a lot of articles, blogs that are designed to train or educate the AI. So, localized content, whether that's about water heaters or pricing or, common questions that people ask. That's a big one. And, most agencies are producing anywhere from like 2 to 4 blogs per month for their clients in the trades. And we have actually recently partnered with a new agency. It's that has a major focus on AI. And so from a few different angles. So the first one is that they're not building on WordPress anymore. They actually had transitioned to Webflow, which was I guess more efficient. I'm not an expert on this, but I guess it's more efficient in the code so that Google can crawl it much easier and index it faster. And they just launched this year a new headless website. And I'm not sure exactly how all that works, but basically there's like a server, I believe, that the website is hosted on, and then it projects it onto the web so that it's really fast load speeds. It's like a fraction of the code. It's super fast. And with this new interface that they've built, or this operating system, I think is what they're calling it, they're able to use AI agents. And so it's an agentic network that is able to produce content and make updates to your website on a daily basis versus a weekly or monthly basis. And so we're just getting started with all this. We're redoing our whole website right now, and I'm really excited for where that's going to take us.
Yeah, I'd love to keep in touch with you on that, Anthony, and just hear about how that is progressing. We've always put a big premium on content. I think that's definitely helped us in these early days of AI. And 'cause content, I still think is king for Google. I think it's still king for the AI too. You mentioned Webflow. We worked in Webflow. Um, I'd have to ask. I'm going to ask my team about bring this up with them about the difference between because we're still predominantly building in WordPress, but the difference between Webflow and WordPress, and we haven't seen, um, I guess, a big change. or I should say I haven't, but I want to ask my team that because that's some interesting theory there as to why build on this platform and get away from WordPress, which has been around forever. I think it's still the most popular CMS content management system on the web. But I'm going to keep in touch with you on that because I'm really curious to hear how that strategy works for you. So, man, thanks for sharing, diving into some of that digital marketing. I know some of our listeners will have some good takeaways there, especially other service owned businesses. I love you're willing to share openly and not be in fear of someone stealing your ideas or so forth. So one reason why I love talking to entrepreneurs, especially ones that are in my space where we can just be open and share what's working, what's not. I'm a big believer there's so much business out there. There's enough for everybody. So why not try to help each other out in what's working and what's not. As we kind of start to wind down, and I've kept you a little longer than normal, but I've enjoyed this conversation. I'm just curious, you've been doing this for 7 years, right? So look back and all this wealth of information you've gathered being a business owner, what is some advice you would give to someone, to an Anthony that's hey, I want to jump into a trade business. Um, Maybe college isn't for me, or hey, I'm tired of working for someone else. I want to do my own business. What advice would you give to them as a new business owner getting started?
That's a great question, Todd. Um,
Well, everybody always smiles at that because you look back, you're like, man, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but now. I mean, you've learned a lot. So anyway, go ahead, Anthony.
think I think one of the biggest things is that online being an entrepreneur is glamorized. It seems like this glamorous thing, and you get this amazing schedule and you get the fancy cars and all that stuff. And in reality, being an entrepreneur is extremely hard. Growing and building a business is extremely hard work. Um, if you're gonna do it, you have to be fully committed. When I mentioned earlier how I met my wife 2 weeks after we started the company, and I remember after our second date telling her how much um, I enjoyed spending time with her, that I wanted to see where this could go, but I told her that my number one priority, even though she might be more important, that my number one priority for the foreseeable future was going to be building my business, because I knew that it was going to take everything that I had. And if she was okay with that, then I would love to continue dating her. And she found that to be very attractive, um, and was totally okay with it. She was working 2 jobs. She was actually in digital marketing as well, and then had a side, job that she would do part-time. And so the point that I'm trying to make is that it's a lot of hard work, and you have to be really committed for a number of years before you start to really reap the benefits of being a business owner. We just hit 7 years, and I still work 50 to 60 hours a week. And, and that's not to say that, some business owners can't reach a certain level of success faster than we have. But, we're just getting to that point where I can not have to answer my phone on the weekends, and I can actually go on a vacation and everything's okay. And, I don't have to worry about the business falling apart while I'm gone for 4 days. And so, again, we've developed a really great team, but it's a ton of work. And so if you're going to go into it knowing that and expecting it, and enjoy that process, because I actually fell in love with the grind. I fell in love with building a company. I fell in love with serving the clients. I fell in love with providing a great workplace for our employees. And and I think if you can go into it with that mindset, then you're pretty much guaranteed to be successful.
Yeah, I would agree with everything you said there, Anthony. So I love the glamorous online portrayal of an entrepreneur. This little fake narrative that's floating around out there. And so because that's really not reality, right?
Yes,
It
sir.
should be like a lot of those things you said, it's gonna be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life. Um, you're gonna wake up in the middle of the night, not be able to go back to sleep. This is gonna happen a lot, especially in the early years. Um, but no, I mean, that's the joy though. I can just tell you've got a lot of passion for your business and your company, your people. And that's the joy, right? That's what makes it all worth the grind. I love that you said, you fell in love with the grind. too, right? Because it is a grind. I've been doing this for a long time, and it's still a grind, right? I don't think the grind ever ends because it's you never know what's coming down the pike, right? You never know what's going to be thrown at you as a business owner that could derail your business or set you back that you got to be ready for. I'm just curious. I got a couple more questions. What are some habits as an owner that you've been able to form that have helped you?
Um, having discipline has been really crucial. I I've found that if you just try to take every day on as its own thing, like you can only focus on one day at a time, but at the same time, you have to have a bigger vision because that bigger vision is what tells you what to focus on the day to day. And so, Gonzo and I have done a really great job at being aligned on our bigger vision so that we can be disciplined in our day to day operations and our actions. So on the business side, just being disciplined and looking at, is what I'm focusing my energy on right now contributing toward the bigger vision or taking me away from that bigger vision? So that's a big one. And then on the personal side, just taking care of myself. Cause for a while it was all grind and I completely put my own health and well-being to the side. And I noticed that, I started to kind of wither away. I started to look unhealthy. I started to just feel exhausted all the time, feel foggy, and so eating well, getting sleep. You mentioned the sleepless nights. It's definitely a thing. There's definitely plenty of nights I'm up until 1, 2 in the morning working on stuff. Um, but you do that too much and it starts to become counterproductive.
Sure.
So, you really have to take care of yourself. So I've gotten into a good routine of getting a solid 6 or 7 hours of sleep per night. I wake up every morning and drink water and hydrate. I've got a good exercise routine where I try to take care of myself and exercise because that definitely contributes to mental clarity and physical well-being. And then when you're taking, you're eating right too, and you're doing all those things, then when you show up to work, you're so much better at doing all the things that you have to do anyway that you can just do them better and more efficiently. And then also as a leader, if you're the business owner, you're the leader of the company, so you want to lead by example. And so if I'm doing all these things, it's a lot easier for me to be able to coach and guide and mentor the people that work for us to be able to do those same things because I'm practicing what I'm preaching. So it doesn't feel like I'm preaching. And so, um, yeah, I think, I hope that answers your question.
No, it does. It discipline, right? I'm a big believer in health too, because I remember when I first started my company 20 years ago, I got sick and um it was just stress, right? So over the years I've had to learn to really take care of myself and doing some new things right now. I just turned 57, so I'm a little ahead of you, but yeah, I've got a morning routine I've been doing about the last 3 or 4 months, and I'm a big walker, but this little 10-minute exercise routine has been a game changer, man. When I'm done, it just gives me energy, helps my body detox, and like I'm a new person every morning, ready to go hit take on the world.
Funny you
Last question for you, Anthony. So as you're out serving your clients and customers, what is the one thing you want people to remember the water heater company by, or what is it last impression you want to leave with them?
the first thing that popped into my head, I would have to answer through telling you a quick story. We we received a Yelp review from a client, and in the review, she painted a picture of what happened during our service visit to the home. And we had one of our technicians. He's actually now a manager, but he was a technician at the time. His name is Zach, and he was one of our trainers. He went to a house and he was training another technician, and this client happened to have a security camera system that also had audio recording. And in her review, she wrote that not once but twice the system had picked up, loiterers, and so sent her video clips of what was happening with audio. And he was telling the trainee that he's found that the best approach is to provide options that bring value to the client and to never recommend something that they don't need or that doesn't bring them value. And there was a little bit more to it than that. That's I'm trying to keep it simple for the for time's sake, but ultimately, it was doing the right thing when he thought no one was watching, and so having that integrity and um, being a trusted provider. I think plumbers and blue collar workers can oftentimes get a bad rapport. um, Hollywood doesn't portray us very well and whatnot. So the impression that we're trying to leave is that we're a trusted provider. We're coming into people's homes; it's their safe space, and we want to make sure that everyone knows that when they have us out, they can feel comfortable and trust us in their home.
That's a great story, and that has to make you feel great being an owner about your team member, because doing the right thing when nobody's watching, right? And so, hey, that's another example of why you guys are having success. Because you're right, home service businesses are known for or have a bad reputation that they're going to overcharge you or sell you something you don't need and so forth. So to go against the grain and have proof of that, that's a great story. That had to make you feel good too, as like,
Man,
hey
it,
man, yeah.
it,
I
it
mean,
made
that's
me
you
emotional.
still tell you can still tell it resonates with you.
Yeah, it,
So
it makes me emotional to even think back to that. I actually just took a screenshot of it the other day, and um, I was sharing it with somebody else. So it's something that's super important to me. It makes me emotional thinking back to that moment because it's exactly what we've tried to create here, and
yeah,
uh, it's
that's
wonderful.
a huge win. That what a great review too. Well, Anthony, it has been great visiting with you. I appreciate you being so open and sharing with us your story, your struggles, your wins, your culture, talking about marketing, what's actually working for you. All great info. Tell our listeners where people can connect with you and learn more about the water heater company.
Our website is thewaterheatercompany.com. Our Instagram is at the Water Heater Company. My Instagram is at the Anthony Hamilton. I don't have, anything to sell anybody, so nothing like that. But yeah, if you ever want to reach out or have questions, highly recommend just reaching out through Instagram and sending me a message. I'll happily respond.
Awesome. Well, Anthony, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being on here. And I look forward to staying connected with you.
Thanks for the opportunity, Todd. It's great talking. Have a good one.